Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and today I've got a review of Let's Go Play at the Adams, and this is by Mendel W. Johnson. This book was published in 1974. Of course, the one I read was the Paperbacks from Hell edition. Now, I read it on my Kindle, but I do have a paperback copy of it also. So I am not really sure how much of a book review this is actually going to be because I'm still processing this book. All right, I just finished it last night about, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still processing it. Now, the one thing I will say is that this, like I said, was published in 1974, and it was the only book that was ever published by Mendel W. Johnson. I think it said that he submitted about 8 or 9 books, but none of them were published except for this one, and he died in 1976. So, yeah, really kind of a sad existence as far as being an author for this guy. But anyway, I guess let me tell you a little bit about what the book is about. And then I'll try my best to give you my thoughts on it, okay? Anyway, is it about these kids? The primary kids are Cindy and Bobby Adams. And their parents have gone away on some kind of vacation. I think they're in Europe somewhere. And so the babysitter comes over. Her name's Barbara. And one morning, Barbara wakes up and she is tied and bound and gagged to her bed. You know, of course, she tries to get loose and everything. But what has happened is that these kids have tied her up, done this to her. And they have some other kids come over, and these kids basically do whatever they want to do because there are no parents, there are no authority figures to tell them that they can't do it. And they keep her tied up, and you start to wonder, when is this going to stop being a game, and when is it going to, kind of segue into reality? Because to these kids, this is really nothing but a game. I mean, they would play a game like this with each other. And so why is it any different to do this to the babysitter? Of course, things escalate, and things happen, and these kids do things to this babysitter. And the one thing I noticed about this is with these kids, you start to see, with each individual kid, you start to see, and when I say kids, I think the youngest is Cindy, and she's 6, maybe 7, I don't remember. And you have her brother Bobby, he's 13. You have a 16-year-old boy, I think a 17-year-old girl, and then another 13-year-old boy. But you start to see these little patterns as to how basically as to what these kids are going to be like when they get older, when they're grown up. All right. It just kind of brings out the personalities in each one of these kids as to what they do to her. The little girl, I mean, pretty much you realize this kid's going to be one entitled little, snot when she grows up. Then you have another kid that is pretty well, and I don't want to consider this to be a spoiler, but oh yeah, this kid is going to be a serial rapist. If he's not, it's going to be a big surprise. And then you have Paul. Paul is into the whole torture thing. He thinks it's just a funny game to torture. All right. So yeah, we're talking about a little future serial killer. Bobby and Diane. Bobby is the Adams kid. Bobby, I think, maybe the most sympathetic of all of them, but he's always going to be a follower. He's never going to be a leader. All right, and then you have Diane. Diane is cold. Diane is calculating. Diane is responsible. But yeah, the cold and the calculating rule out over this. Like I said, I'm still processing this book. I liked it. I did. In fact, I loved it. Now, the beginning of it started off kind of slow, and I got thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm just going to put this down. I'm not going to enjoy, I don't think I'm enjoying this. But I kind of stuck with it, and it began to stick with me, so to speak. That's why I said, I don't know how much of this is actually going to be a review or how much of it is going to be just my thoughts. But then again, what is a review but your thoughts on something? I found this book to be pretty chilling, because it makes you realize that, I don't know. It's one of those things where, well, I'll tell you what, let me tell you a little story about something that happened to me. Because this may help you to realize that kids are not always sweet and innocent. Sometimes there's just something under the surface of them, or under the surface that just is kind of chilling. But anyway, when I was probably in my 30s, I had a bunch of aquariums. Some were freshwater, some were saltwater. I really got into that, okay? And in the freshwater tank, I had these fish that were called Oscars. Now, if you know anything about Oscars, Oscars are the type of fish that they grow in proportion to the size of the tank. Well, this particular fish was in a 200-gallon tank, and he was big, okay? All right. I also had two, and I had other fish. I also had two piranhas. I mean, we're talking about real piranhas that if I've been caught with these things, I'd have probably been arrested or been made to, yeah, I'd probably gotten fined. But yeah, I don't have them, didn't have them anymore. I don't have them anymore, excuse me. And I also had a huge comic book collection, and I had a boot, just a regular cowboy boot, full of coins. So I get up one day because I worked at a pizza place, and what I would do is I would go up and I would pick out some comic books to read while I was on my break. So I go up there, I start looking, and I realize that the boot is turned over. There are no coins in it. And I also find out that my comic books are just strewn all over the place. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Then I go downstairs, and my Oscar was gone. It was gone, okay? And I had a kitten. I had a kitten also. This kitten was on the floor, like gasping for breath. All right. And I know trigger warnings. I don't, Anyway, I found out what happened was this kid that lived near me, next door in fact, got into my house, took my coins, took my Oscar out of the tank and killed it. I don't want to say how. And he also threw the kitten, or tried to get the piranha to eat the kitten. All right? I'm sorry. I know there's trigger warnings throughout all of this. I'm sorry. I'm just using this but his mother's like, oh no, George would never do that. George is just so sweet. He loves animals. But we had the proof because we caught him with the coins. I caught him. His mother's like, that's the way I found out that he did it. Was his mother comes to me and she's like, did you have a bunch of coins? I'm like, yes, I did. So, and she, but she's like, oh, he would never do that or whatever. But he did. See, so I know that kids can be capable of some pretty terrible things. And I think this is kind of what this book's trying to say is, they don't, it doesn't always equal sweet and innocent. Even my cousin when I was growing up, my cousin was a little shit. I'll just say that flat out to you. Anyway, I know I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I told you I'm just processing this book still. Like I said, I love the book. I give it 5 stars. And now one thing I do notice was that with this book, I noticed that it's kind of looking on Goodreads, it's kind of down the middle. I see a bunch of 1-star reviews. I see a bunch of 5-star reviews, maybe a few 4-star reviews. But it's pretty much split down the middle. You either love this book or you hate this book, all right? So that's my review. That is the best I can do with this. I hope I haven't disturbed anybody any more than I was disturbed by what happened. The book disturbed me. I'm not gonna lie about that. I did the whole thing about the werewolf books, the top werewolf books that I love. I did a part 2 of that. I may actually have to do a part 2 of 5 books that disturbed the F out of me, you know. And this one may actually be on that list. All right. Anyway, so yeah, that is my semi sort of review of Let's Go Play at the Adams. And yeah, thank you for watching, and take care and stay scared. Bye bye.